you've heard what the other Matt was just saying there about the justification for this and that it will generate growth and it really not going to make that much difference to bankers. What's your take on it? Because it doesn't look good for a Conservative government to be just letting bankers take more money to spend and save in the Cayman Islands.
Well, if you ask a nationally representative survey of voters, as we have, what do you think about this policy, without explaining anything about the ins and the outs of the policy, as your guest has just done, we find that about 12% of the country would support removing the cap. Now, of course, there are always different ways you can ask questions. There are always more bits of information you can give to voters. But it's difficult to see how this policy symbolically will cut through at this particular time when voters are struggling with energy costs, cost of living costs, and all of that kind of stuff. So generally, it's going to be a difficult sell for Prime Minister Truss and her new Chancellor.
It really is, isn't it? We've had our viewers getting in touch. Simon has got in touch on GBViews at gbnews.uk to say, if you give a banker £1 million bonus, actually he's in favour, Simon, is £500,000 goes on tax. If you attack bankers' bonuses, what about the energy company executives as well? It's not strictly true, though, is it, to say, Matt, that they will pay £500,000 of their million to the taxman, because most of these bankers have incredibly clever and creative ways of managing their taxation burden.
Well, I think inevitably some of that is true. I think also we need to think about how we incentivise risk within our economy. Do we want to incentivise people within financial services to take as much risk as possible? You might argue, for example, as our former Prime Minister Gordon Brown did to me last week, that one of the problems before 2008 is that we were actively incentivising bankers and other people to take risk through the bonus structure and so on. So I think that debate is going to play out. But just to be clear, what we have seen today, of which that policy is just one small part, is the beginning of a new economic moment in this country that is going to, I think, in the short term, the medium term, is going to be very, very polarising for the country. And there are going to be people who will say, this is what we need to do to drive growth. This is what we need to do to revitalise the economy. And there are going to be people who are going to say, well, yes, we might agree with all of that, but the priorities and the groups that the plans are helping are not the right ones for this particular moment in time. And this debate is going to become massive in British politics, and it is going to dominate British politics for the next 2 years.